Thank you very much, Kerry. It is truly a pleasure to have the Deputy President of the Senate of Barbados in a very distinguished in her own right to address us. And I want to say that in keeping with that tradition which she spoke about and which I will not belabor this morning, when I called her and asked her to serve in the Senate, she said, well, I don't know what this is all about, but I will accept it. And she said, I promise you that I will do my best. And she has done her best in every respect under the able guidance of Comrade Branford Tate, the Honorable President of the Senate of Barbados. The General Secretary, members of the Executive and General Councils, delegates, members, comrades. Last year I concluded my address to the annual conference by appealing to the delegates in this party to stay the course. I called you to arms, and my charge was for you to go into the highways and the byways of Barbados to spread the thinking, the vision, and the plan of the Democratic Labour Party. Comrades, last year we united around a cause of rescuing this country from a group of tired, discredited politicians whose every utterance and action suggested that they had lost their way and no longer had the cares, concerns, or aspirations of Barbadians foremost in their thoughts. As a party, we canvassed the views of thousands of Barbadians. We walked the streets. We attended community meetings. We pulled them aside after church. We had our own meetings and mass canvassing throughout Barbados. We had focus groups and we knocked on thousands of doors. We chatted to them on the bus, in the market, at the workplace, and over the internet. We were missionaries for the cause, and on January 15, 2008, we brought home the bacon. Not only did we win the election, I dare say we won it handsomely. But more importantly, we rescued Barbados from an emerging dictatorship. So I wish on this occasion of our 53rd annual conference to thank each and every one of you for the role you played in crafting, nurturing, and bringing to fruition that glorious victory of January 15, 2008. This party needed you, all of you, to get the job done. And the task that each of you performed was critical to the overall outcome of this election. Without you, we could not have done it. And today, I wish on behalf of all 30 candidates, and also on behalf of our stalwarts in this party, alive, and those in our pantheon, to thank you most sincerely for creating the environment and conditions for this party to pursue and attain its goal in relation to the further and the future development of Barbados. At a personal level, and also I think on your behalf, I wish to thank a number of persons, including our General Secretary, Chris Sinclair, the Honorable Christopher Peter Sinclair, Minister of Foreign Affairs, foreign trade and international business. Party organizers George Pilgrim, Cranston Brown, and Yvette King. Our campaign chairman, Bramford Tate. And our public relations officer, Rudolph Eversley. I don't think there are any words that I could use to adequately express my profound thanks to Hartley Henry. Now, Hartley and I were youngsters knocking around this party from 1978. He reminded me yesterday that he was 44. When was it? He is 44 today. I know that because I forgot. I have issued warnings to him. I have cautioned him as a senior about what the age 44 means. I don't think he's listening, but I want to say this, that without reward, Hartley committed himself to ensuring that this party won the last general election. I was also thrilled that he accepted my offer to him to work with this administration. He is a Barbadian. He was born in Ellerton, St. George. He went to St. George Secondary School, and he is currently the top political strategist in our region. So Hartley, we all thank you, and I'm privileged this morning to present you with the President's Award for your outstanding contribution to this party. You can come and receive the award. Comrades, I also want to thank my team in St. John who had to do it without me, particularly Stephen Cobbin, Kathleen Palmore, and the guys and girls from Family First. I want to thank them. I don't think that I can put fully into words my feelings for the people of St. John and the honor and privilege that they have given not only to me, but to Aaron Barrow, but most importantly, to the Democratic Labour Party. But most of all this morning, I want to thank Mara. She has truly been a tower of strength to me throughout my 21 years as a member of Parliament. But most of all, she has to take on my political tasks with great efficiency, loyalty, and humanity. They love her, and she loves them. Comrades, I chose my words carefully and deliberately a few moments ago. The people's victory on January the 15th, as sweet as it was, is not an end in itself, but it was the means to an end. On January the 15th, we became empowered to pursue the programs and the vision of Barbados that we had articulated unrelentingly over the past 14 years. That victory placed us in a position to right the wrongs and to end the drift and inertia that had set into several spheres of social and economic activity in Barbados. On January 15, we were given the tools and the mandate to do the job. We now have, as a party, to get the job done. But first, we must face ourselves. Let me make it abundantly clear that the Barbados Labour Party will not dictate the work schedule or the pace of work of this government. They will not vote us into office, and they will not set the agenda for this administration. Not now, not ever. However, that organization finds itself today at a major juncture of its political history. Fundamental changes are going to have to be made in that party, beginning with its leadership and the manner in which its leadership has been determined in recent years. It is no secret. Thinkers in the Barbados Labour Party recognize that only a win in the next general election can forestall the metamorphosis that is required to bring that organization back into play in the politics of Barbados. Under its immediate past and present leadership, that organization finds itself umbilically corded and connected to big business in this country. And that is why they could not do anything about the cost of living, and that is why for them it was not an issue. More so, it is because of that alliance, which the party as currently structured can do nothing about, that the present leader finds herself having to take the absurd and strangest of political positions on the issue of the cost of living and the containment of prices in this country. How else do you explain her seeking on every occasion to frustrate the entry into the local market of any competition? At a time when consumers in this country are quite crying out for support and relief, her plea is for us to do nothing to erode the profits of a handful of big businessmen in this country. The entry into the local market of a major international player will not affect shops in the country. It will affect the importers and wholesalers who sell in country shops, sell to country shops. Country shops will not have an option. They will have another player from whom to source their goods. I am not persuaded that there will be an automatic loser in that equation, but I sure as hell know that the consumers of Barbados will benefit at the end. So in order to postpone its day with destiny and to reform itself, as the Democratic Labour Party has had to do over the past 14 years, the Barbados Labour Party will stop at nothing to ensure its re-election at the earliest of opportunities. The current leader of the Barbados Labour Party knows that if she is lucky enough to last the term as leader, that she will only have one bite at the cherry. And of course we all know that one bite is not enough for her. To confuse the minds of Barbadians. Their mission at sunrise, 7 days a week, including Sundays, is to create as much political mischief and confusion in this country as is possible. How else do you explain they're creating an issue over the timing of the Independence Day parade? Public participation in that event has dwindled to embarrassingly low numbers. Young people in particular, and this is a major event national event celebrating the independence of our country, but they're simply not tuned into the event as it's currently structured and timed. And we need to jazz it up. We are a group of modern, progressive thinkers, and we decided that if what we came and found was clearly broken, that we should fix it. If what we attempt this year doesn't work, we will try something else. But we are not going to walk a defeatist line simply because that is the line walked by others before us. The very first independence parade held in this country was held in the night. The opening ceremony for the Olympic Games under beautiful floodlight with creative colors and so on was held in the night. Tattoos have been held by the police when there was a youngster on Trent faster in the night. I haven't counted, but I am certain that if you go to any 8 o'clock morning parade in Barbados, that you will see countless people being lifted off the parade square because of the blistering heat. And I do not know if there are any members of the police band here. I love the Royal Barbados Police Band, but I know that there are some of them who may not want to stand up in that hot sun so early in the morning. There are men who have given decades of service to this country. And we want the young people to see and hear them. It is not a jump up, it is a celebration of the most important event in our recent national history. So how dare we among the leaders of the Barbados Labour Party speak to Arabaro's Democratic Labour Party about an independence parade? When did they become converts to the philosophy of independence? And the first 10 years of that parade was structured and coordinated by a Democratic Labour Party administration. I am saying today that the Amondi is out of order. But it is those little petty things. There are some people in the Caribbean who would say that she's forward to come and say to us at this juncture how best to structure a parade that if they had their way for 2 years ago would never be taking place in Barbados. So the Independence Day parade will proceed this year under the new format, and that is that. And if she doesn't like it, she can find some vantage point where she can watch the fireworks among her friends, while the rest of us go to the identified location and truly celebrate the independence of this country. So I am grateful to all the related organizations and individuals that have embraced the idea of change and that have volunteered to serve in whatever way possible to ensure the success of this initiative. By the same token, I believe that one of this country's widely read columnists, right of making the Barbados Advocate, dealt with the attempt by our detractors to make an issue over the plans of this government for improved patient care and health services. And I really cannot understand what this controversy could be all about. This government is committed to the improvement of the health services in Barbados. That is the basis of our policy and the basis of our philosophy and all actions that flow from that. We have canvassed the views of many stakeholders, and very shortly the detailed plan of the government, as agreed to by the Cabinet, will not only be talked about, but will be put into action. But again, in among the Barbados, they were probably confusing us with them. They used to learn about government policy from the media or the friends and business associates of the Prime Minister, depending on what kind of spirit was fueling his emotions at that point. He articulated government policy with no reference and no consultation with anyone, including his ministers. But that is not how it is done in the Democratic Labour Party. We discuss these issues in various forums before ultimately the Cabinet is asked to deliberate on a matter. We have had presentations to the Cabinet by the technical team. We have discussed and debated among ourselves. So no Prime Minister alone can determine the shape or look of our improved health service. And by the same token, no single minister will either. Whatever final product emerges will reflect the wishes of the government of Barbados. So it is really amazing that the excess time available to the leader of the opposition, and obviously there is a lot, gives her the opportunity to play us on these non-issues. The point is, we're going to do something about the hospital and not just talk about it. And we've looked at it from several angles, including calling upon those persons who come and live in Barbados and enjoy the standard of living that is the basis of the hard work in the factories and the cane fields in this country of your grandparents, and who come here and don't pay any taxes, who are able to live in luxurious homes in this country, to drive on our roads, to pass through our airport, and have the privilege internationally of telling people, I live in Barbados. They have that privilege. And we have therefore said to them, help us to build a hospital. Hospitals are expensive. And if we want the most modern healthcare in this country, we can call on those persons who enjoy other social services in this country to assist us in the way forward to solving one of our biggest challenges. So the point I'm making is that we are not going to be rushed or dictated by our opponents, but by the same token, we have to be mindful of the suffering of thousands in our midst over the past 14 years, and we therefore have to deliver timely and efficiently on the programs that we promise and which the public is eagerly awaiting from us. The public is eager for us to deliver because they believe that we will seriously attempt to do what we say we will do. And let me explain to you what I mean. The former administration spoke unendingly about doing something about healthcare, about public transport, about housing, about education, about agriculture, about vending, about industrial relations and employment practices, about tourism, and about garnering more benefits for Barbadians. They also spoke about evolving a modern and progressive land use policy. Night after night on your television screen, they spoke and promised in sports, culture, youth affairs, the environment, maritime affairs, and the list goes on and on. They spoke about every single issue under the sun. But in the final analysis, much of what concerned and impacted on Barbadians in their everyday lives was left unattended and was allowed to deteriorate to unacceptable levels. So that the people of this country, as soon after the 2003 general election, grew tired of the talk. They stopped listening. They stopped hoping. They lost their confidence in the system prior to the election. They knew that what former ministers said on television night after night was not on the national agenda, and that nothing would happen the following morning. Barbadians came to the point over the past 5 years where they did not want to hear about any new housing ventures because they knew that none would be forthcoming and none that would benefit them would be forthcoming. They did not want to hear about a new $700 million hospital because they knew that under Jerome Walker that would never materialize in their lives or their children's lives. They knew that Erskine Griffith and his friends in the Ministry of Agriculture had no serious plan for that sector, and that party had no plan in housing. They knew that the administration of social services was merely the front for wanton political patronage and corruption. Barbadians stopped believing and therefore they stopped anticipating. Today, all of that has changed. Persons who were waiting silently with their names on the waiting list of the National Housing Corporation for 14 long years have now found their voices. They believe, indeed they know, that under my galactic houses are going to be built in this country. We did it before, and we're going to do it again. They know that a housing revolution is about to take place in Barbados, and nobody wants to be left behind. But within the first 4 months of coming to office, we had already made a decision regarding the transfer of units to tenants in National Housing Corporation estates who had been there for 20 years or more, free of cost. We decided to cut through all of that administrative red tape, cut through all of the promises that had been previously made that were never kept. And as Michael was able to announce, there are already persons receiving conveyances. They know that we will build the number of houses we said we would build. And they want to get one, meaning the public, the people of this country, they want to get one, irrespective of their politics, irrespective of who they voted for. And can you imagine that every day, people who did not give a cent in tax relief to people at the bottom in this country in respect of housing are carping that the VAT has not yet been removed on building materials on houses up to a value of $400,000. When in the last budget we started the process and we put in place a VAT rebate system for people building houses, particularly low-income houses in this country. We started where we could afford to start, but they had offered no concessions at all before that for people building houses in this country, particularly low-income Barbadians. And they have the gall to criticize a government that has been in office for only 7 months. And they have 40 years. Rating in the first year, millions and maybe hundreds of millions of dollars more in value-added tax than they had anticipated. And yet those benefits did not cascade down to the people who most need housing in this country. We cannot go to 400,000 yet. We started where we could start. And that is the difference between the Democratic Labour Party and the Barbados Labour Party. We will not divide Barbados. Our ambitious housing program over the next 5 years caters to the needs of Barbadians, and we are going to house this nation. We will also introduce those constituency councils that we have promised and put more power into the hands of communities in this country. We will get better returns on our investment in education because we will cater and attend to the needs of all of our children, not only those who demonstrate academic skills. And as you know, we made a firm determination, both as a cost of living measure to ease the parents of children in this country, as well as to try to create some element of discipline on the public transportation system to allow school children to travel free on buses and buses. These are not easy policies to implement, and no doubt there are people who would like to see them fail. But we have started and put our best foot forward in the interest of all Barbadians, and we're going to continue to work in your interest. So ladies and gentlemen, the seeming impatience at times of some people can be interpreted from varying perspectives, but the one which I'm sure applies more than any other is that hope has been restored in this country. That is why people are impatient at times. And they're also impatient because they have great expectations of this party as the governing party of Barbados. So I don't want to tell you to ignore me and mock me in the Barbados Labour Party, because that would smack of arrogance, and I am not cut of that cloth. What I will say to you today is that I am grateful for the opportunity that you have afforded me to lead this party and this country at this exciting juncture in our history. And I have absolutely no intention of squandering this opportunity to make Barbados better for all Barbadians. Comrades, I have many opportunities in recent weeks to articulate the policy and the vision of this country. And as you know, I recently delivered a budget which was consistent with the principles advocated in our manifesto. I did not invite you here today to discuss government policy. In fact, I have a slight difficulty with major policy decisions of government being initiated and articulated exclusively from the floor of our party convention. The policies that we are pursuing and which we shall amend from time to time will be shared by all Barbadians from a more politically neutral setting over the course of the next few weeks and months. But what I want to say to comrades attending this conference today is that I am looking to you for your support, for your understanding, and for your inspiration. Personally, I am fortunate to have been in this party for over 30 years, and I believe I have attended every annual conference and indeed every major party activity hosted by this party over that period of time. I know my comrades in this party. I know you by your look. I know you by name. I know you by the sound of your voice. And I said earlier that each of you played no small part in crafting and creating the basis for our victory. You are the architects of our success. Your interest is therefore my interest, and your happiness is my happiness. And many years ago, my detractors sought to put whatever spin they wish on a comment I made in relation to the factory calf. I knew what it meant back then, and you also knew what I meant. I meant it then, and I mean it today when I say to you, as the architect of this victory, fear not. Your interests will be served. You are Barbadians, and many of you have been disenfranchised over the past years for your association that has been given to us by the people of this country. I know your expectations and your desires, but I also know that there is a right way and a wrong way of doing things. And I am not going to perpetuate the same wrongs that I criticized the former government for committing. In everything, you have to have structures and procedures. There must be transparency and accountability. And I am very concerned about this issue of governance in Barbados. I am mortified every day to learn the manner in which decisions were taken by the former administration. Nobody on that side, including the former Prime Minister, is more steeped in politics than I am. My record of peaks and valleys, of highs and lows in politics, would suggest and should suggest to all concerned that I am first and foremost a politician. I understand what it takes to survive in politics, and I am living testimony to that. But even though I know all of that, I am not going to turn Barbados into a banana republic. I will not tear down or undermine the structures and systems that we hold there. There is either good governance or no governance at all. I will preside over a government of which Barbadians can be proud and of which you can be proud. And I do not intend to get on as if I know everything. But what I do know is that one can achieve political objectives without undermining administrative systems and structures that have evolved for over 300 years. And my simple message to you, therefore, is to hold straight. What impacts you can reach you. And as you know, if cold will win, hot will fall. So it makes no sense going over there in the enemy camp, and by that I mean on certain public radio programs, on certain newspapers, shouting at this government or shouting at me. I don't hear those kinds of shouts. I will not rush into anything awkwardly or clumsily when we can take our time to do it properly. We are a family and we have a duty to look out for one another. And my duty as a shepherd of this flock is to attend to the needs of every member. Your duty is to play your part in maintaining the honor and the dignity of this institution in democratic way. But that duty is even greater now because we are in government. And therefore, if I meant every utterance of criticism of the Barbados Party's management, and I did, particularly the corrupt management of agencies such as the Rural Development Commission, the Urban Development Commission, the National Conservation Commission, the National Housing Corporation, and the like. And then you can take a whole range of new companies that are set up. You can look at how they administer the Caribbean Broadcasting Corporation. You can look at how they treated the public servants in this country. I want to say to you, as I had to say to the Barbados Workers Union yesterday, although I may not have said it in these words, when public officers can come and say to me that they have been working in certain buildings in Barbados and they have noticed a certain trend that almost everybody in that building is on the same medication, and nothing is done about it. If you went to Warren's and saw the lavish office that Mia Motley had provided for herself at Warwick, with beautiful plush white furniture and the latest in technology, and then go down to the very Prime Minister's office, the old Bay Street boys' school as it is, and see the conditions under which people have been functioning. The Solicitor General's Department, parts of the Ministry of Public Works, all across Barbados, that I have been racking my brain. The cabinet, we have been racking our collective brains on trying to find a solution, and we cannot build an instant building. So to ameliorate those conditions, we are going to have to use Sherman because we have a duty to protect the civil servants and the public officers in this country. But for 14 years, these people were walking past civil servants with their noses in the air, ignoring these concerns. There are even people that they brought into government, their own supporters, who tell me that they regret coming in because 2 weeks after they got in the building, they have been sick ever since. They were better off staying home. It is a very serious matter. Our resources are constrained. In 1994 and previous in 1976, there are many people in this party that can tell you the stories of horrendous victimization that took place. School meals department, other government departments, CDC, the night of long night when 8 people were sent home the day after a general election. Ambassadors, people who we hold up in high esteem, sent overseas to represent this country, given 2 days to leave the premises and return home. We are not going to lie down and be prostrate for anybody to defile us as a political institution. But I felt it is unconscionable that you could send people out there to represent your country and then give them 2 or 3 weeks to come home. So we decided to give them time to the main office to go and see the leader of the country and say thank you. You know why? At the end of the day, they are Barbadians. And when we tarnish the image of our country by acting in a way that gives the impression that we are political savages, then it does none of us any good. In an orderly way, we have now completed the transfer of all of our diplomatic and consular representatives. And let me get back to those social service agencies. Many of them which have been totally eroded of any administrative capability. And you cannot find the files. And there's some people who say that we waited 6 months to look for the files. The day after the election, files were missing. In fact, I'm going to say this. Prior to the election, the Auditor General of Barbados said that not only files were missing, but that houses were missing in Barbados. In a country of 166 square miles. So if they could lose a house or secrete a house, don't you think the same people could secrete a small file? So we had to do something here. These agencies can be run efficiently and can be relevant and responsive to all Barbadians. And I do not believe that we have to promote and perpetuate the culture of turning them into barrel on place. Many of you in the hearing of my voice serve on boards of management I want you to follow the manifesto pledges of this party. I want you to implement the policies of the government, but I also want you to take the time to learn the rules and regulations that govern your operations. If you take the time to learn how, you will discover that what becomes much easier to implement and administer than you may think. Determine what you want to do. Have a course and a policy and chart it, and then take the time to work out how it can and ought to be done. But do not allow anyone, and I mean anyone, to pressure you into acting in a manner that is not consistent with the rule of law or accepted administrative procedure. Today, we have striven as a party in government to be open and transparent. I could have sought, as with anybody else, to get around the system in several respects, but I chose to go to the public directly and to follow the desired spirit of the regulations. Take, for example, the appointment of the principal political advisors in Friends. I'm sorry to do this today on his birthday. The former administration had about 30, and I'm still counting, so-called consultants, who did from nothing right down to next to nothing, or up to next to nothing. They clothed themselves and their political appointments in the euphemistic and misleading term consultants. When you check the record, you will see that Moinata had placed every political friend and crony on the payroll of the government in some imaginative way or another. At one point, after every election, they had the person who was the chief strategist of the Barbados Party, a Trinidadian, doing reports on the future of GIS and information technology and drawing $200,000 and $300,000 from the government of this country. I don't even call that pay that time. I made one open and above board appointment. And because of that, one of the leader of the opposition is asking me questions every time I go to Parliament, even though I have answered them. The problem here is that while some of you fail to take the time to sit and analyze what is going on around you and consider carefully the steps your government is taking, the other side, they are analyzing it. And they carefully and clearly look at the ramifications of decisions that we make, and particularly the appointment of the principal political advisor. And they're doing everything in their power to frustrate that individual. So as Prime Minister, I was appointed on the basis of having led a political party to elect a victory in an election. And I am entitled to bureaucratic support. I'm also entitled to political support. Given the mess that was left for us by the previous administration, I anticipated that the job of administering the affairs of government would be demanding and all-consuming. And that is why I created a balance by introducing a political component, the remit of which is to ensure the political correctness of the government at most times, if not all times. The problem is that the opposition anticipates that, unlike the 30-odd persons who they appointed, merely to justify a salary and to keep a check politically, or to keep them in check politically, our appointee is working and will ensure that we do not make the blunders that they make. And therefore, Congress, the political safeguards are there. A separate communication and certainly in closed-door sessions of this conference, you will be told of other more specific initiatives, particularly the appointment of a new CEO to the party, a person who has has skills as a former permanent secretary and a former diplomat at the highest level, so that you as comrades in this party can remain relevant to and involved in the process of nurturing this party in government. So we should have a new chief executive officer shortly, and we're putting initiatives in place. There will be people based here at headquarters to deal with the challenges that our branch chairman and our political operatives are facing. I think we need to understand and appreciate that each of us, all 20 of our elected parliamentarians, is in this for the long haul. We have committed the next 20 years of our lives to the task of representing our constituencies and taking Barbados to another level. And let me make it clear, we did not fight so hard to throw it all away. For us to succeed, though, we will need your help, your guidance, and your support. And therefore I say to you, be strong and of good courage. For blessed are we who walk not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor stand in the path of sinners, nor sit in the seat of the scornful. But our delight is in the law of the Lord. We shall be like the trees planted by the rivers of water that bring forth their fruit in good season, whose leaves shall not wither, and whatever we do shall prosper. And therefore, today, I ask God's blessings on all of us in this task. And I also ask Him to richly bless all of you and your families. Thank you.